This is the PC Breakdown. This video is going to hit a little closer to home than the last one. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the differences and similarities of the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic and COVID-19. I'm going to try my best not to exhaust all of my attention on the virus itself, so just bear with me and we'll get to the comparisons. So what was the Spanish flu? The Spanish flu was an influenza pandemic that spread throughout the world, taking the lives of millions. It's commonly believed that soldiers spread the disease throughout Europe and brought it back into the States, since most reported cases in the US began at military bases. Interestingly, everyone thought that the virus came from Spain, but Spain thought they got the virus from France, and the origins of the virus are still unknown. The CDC defines influenza as a contagious respiratory illness caused by influenza viruses that infect the nose, throat, and sometimes the lungs. It can cause mild to severe illness and at times can lead to death, and in this case it did. The virus killed roughly 50 million people worldwide, with 675,000 people being in the United States. But being in Texas, I'm sure you're all wondering how the Spanish flu affected our area. Well, there were 3 waves of the virus. The first didn't do much anywhere. It was much like a normal flu season. The second wave was when it impacted many people and spread to the Texas area. This was the wave that had the highest death toll. In the Houston area, the Houston Post and Conroe Courier newspapers were filled with articles describing how to treat the flu, deaths brought on by the flu, and issues that the Spanish flu's caused. But how did it get in the East Texas area? Well, one of the pathways could have been through Camp Logan. Camp Logan was one of the 34 bases designed for training during World War I. Remember how I said a lot of military members had contracted the virus? Yeah, this is one of them. In Houston alone, according to the Assistant Vice President and economist of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, Thomas A. Garrett, there were 1,103 deaths in 1918 due to the virus in Houston. Other sources claim roughly over 100 lives were lost. Either way, it took a toll on the city. Now compare those numbers to the coronavirus, which has now claimed 31 lives in Harris County as of April 9th. So at this point in history, doctors knew about germs and about how viruses spread. What they didn't know was how to cure it. Vaccines hadn't been developed yet, and the flu vaccine wasn't made until 1945. They did have aspirin, but doctors weren't suggested unhealthy dosages, which didn't help. Other than people distancing themselves from each other, stores closing down, or minimizing the amount of people allowed in an area, and the use of masks, people basically became immune to it after the third wave hit in the winter and ultimately ended in 1919. There are some similarities, but the statistics of the viruses are different in many ways. Some of the similarities include they both spread through the air. They both cause pneumonia. Neither have or had a cure, and that sounds like most pandemics. They both have a shortage of medical personnel. Governor Greg Abbott waived several regulations to grow the nurse workforce in Texas, and back in 1918, the advertising for nurses even reached the Houston Post, asking for nurses to aid the Red Cross. Some of the differences include the Spanish flu affected healthy individuals between the ages of 18 and 34 with a high death rate, something that hasn't happened since the pandemic, whereas the coronavirus seems to have a higher mortality rate with the elderly. The Spanish flu's mortality rate for the U.S. population was close to 0.65%, whereas the coronavirus mortality rate for the U.S. population is roughly 0.004%. Another difference is the incubation period. The symptoms of the flu will show in 2 days, and in the coronavirus, the symptoms don't show until after 2 weeks, allowing longer periods of spreading without even knowing you have it. The rate in which the two pandemics spread are both at different rates. Both are extremely contagious, but the Spanish flu has an estimated RO value of 1.8, and the CDC states that the coronavirus calculated at a medium RO value of 5.7. So to illustrate that, every person that has COVID-19 will give it to 5 to 6 people, and every person that had the Spanish flu would only give it to 1 to 2 people. And when those people get in contact with other people, and those people get in contact with other people, and then so on and so forth, it spreads like wildfire. It's like, hello, how are you? Thank you for giving me the flu. But it's still a huge difference with the two outcomes. So in summary, the coronavirus is a force to be reckoned with. It has potential to spread more massively than the worst flu pandemic known to date. So please wash your hands, stay at home, listen to what officials are telling you to do. This isn't the first time this has happened to Americans. It happened back in 1918 too. These rules aren't put in place to restrict your freedoms. It's for the general health of the public. So take it seriously. Make sure you listen in to all your local news sources for the updated information on the virus. This is the PC Breakdown, and we'll see you guys next time.